All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live Saturday morning NASCAR Cup Series action as we have final practice for the NASCAR Cup Series race at the Texas Motor Speedway, which is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. The AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive, as well as we're getting ready for this on-track activity. Cup Series action beginning here today. Qualifying will be soon after on this same stream. So for the third consecutive week, we've got some morning NASCAR coverage for you guys on a Saturday. Afterwards, we will have NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time a few hours from now as well. And tomorrow's Cup Series race will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on the channel on KRC. So appreciate everybody tuning in here today. Just 8 subscribers away from 5,000 coming into this stream here today. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you are new and are watching, and as well hit that like button so we can get to our goal of 50 likes for this stream here this morning. If you're wondering where the camera's at, I've got it turned off for right now. I think OBS has been acting up on me when the camera is on. So with that being the case,
you even yell at people for me.
You okay over there? Hey. I don't know where we were at there. Anyway, where we're at right now is cars on the racetrack for the first time. Tyler Reddick, one of the first drivers on the racetrack, are Ty Dillon, Brad Keselowski, Justin Haley, Tyler Reddick, Joey Logano, Zane Smith, Ty Gillen, Austin Cindric, Austin Hill in the race this weekend. Jonathan Nemechek, Daniel Hemrick, Ross Chastain, Kaz Grala, Chase Elliott, and Chase Briscoe are the 20 drivers on the racetrack for Group B or Group A practice. So 40 cars this week at a full field at Texas Motor Speedway.
Off throttle time, quite a bit of wide open. Jamie?
On the big night for Kyle Busch, he picked up his 20th.
Sorry, 37 cars, by the way, not 40.
He ran in the truck series, got that 6th win. Kyle, congratulations on last night, but is there anything you can take from what you learned in the truck and apply it here this morning to the Cup car?
The biggest thing, I think, is just track conditions, kind of how the track evolved and what it felt like from the beginning of truck practice yesterday. The track was a little slick, a little dusty, and then as the track got some rubber laid down on it, it actually widened out and moved around much more nice than it did do. So I would predict that right now guys are probably going to run a little bit higher than what we did in truck practice, just because it's been groomed, it's been cleaned a little. But from there, you just got to figure out the speed of your car and figure out the balance of your car. So hopefully our zone Chevrolet is ready to go and as fast as it was here last fall.
It was good to see the rowdy Val last night.
Thank you. Yeah, it was good to be able to do it. Yeah, thank you.
He had a great battle with series regulars Christian Eckes, Corey Heim, Nick Sanchez. They all had a shot at the lead. They all had a shot, but Kyle prevailed.
You could see the drag in those trucks and how they were able to draft and have to block some of those runs, even right there at the end. So he had a moment there when I heard him as big a lip, and he's going to come in, make some adjustments.
Alex Bowman.
Yeah, that lift point will have to change when you're in traffic like this because you want to keep the car, if you're going to run the bottom groove, you want to keep that left front right on the white line in the middle of the corner, because if you get too high on the exit of the corner, the nose really wants to take off on the exit. Down here in 3 and 4, I always thought turns 3 and 4 was the end of the racetrack that you just wanted to maintain. Keep your gap good and try to make your car as good as possible through turns 1 and 2. And what I mean is be able to rotate that car through the center of the corner and be able to keep it lower than the guy in front of you.
Which is exactly what you see, Kevin. That's one thing I like about Bowman and what he's doing in this practice session. Get in that traffic, get in that dirty air, and figure out what this car's going to do, because that's the balance you're going to need to prevail and overcome in the race on Sunday.
Yeah, you have no idea what you really need to work on if you don't get behind traffic. It's one way to set your car up all by yourself and be able to work on the handling of the car with clean air, but that's never going to be the case on Sunday.
Not for very long.
Austin Cindric, 9th fastest in the early laps here. Fourth quick among the Fords behind Keselowski, Blaney, and Logano. First line.
Well, this is a big weekend for the Fords. We saw them struggle on on this type of racetrack at the beginning of the year. We saw him rebound the last couple of weeks, and here we are back at a 1.5 mile clip. Ryan Blaney has typically, I would say, had the most speed on these types of racetracks and run well here, won here. So
Still looks to be the case too, right?
well, yeah, we've got Keselowski up there in second, as far as overall speed, but him coming to the pit lane early tells me that he wasn't happy with the handling of his car.
Probably took off pretty snug, felt good, laid a big lap down, and then, boys, we're in trouble. We need to free this thing up. I've done that several times here. I look for RFK to have a good rebound race this weekend in Texas. Good track for them.
Practice speeds led by Ty Gibbs, already faster by 0.3 of a second than Bubba Wallace's pole run here last year.
All right, under commercial for the first time today in our first practice session. It'll be Group A final practice again. 20 minutes for each group of cars to hit the racetrack. We got 19 of them on the racetrack right now. I believe there are actually going to be at least 2 open entry cars with the 33 in the field this weekend. That is an extra RCR entry for Austin Hill. And then with them having 19 cars on the racetrack right now, this is going to make up the outside row for the race tomorrow. So we are going to see at least 1 or 2 more open entries in the next practice session. Sorry for being a little slow on the reaction for how many cars are in the field this weekend. That's something I definitely should have looked up for the start. Top of the charts right now is Ty Gibbs leading the way. Brad Keselowski 0.2 of a second behind Gibbs' fastest time. Gibbs' lap time is a 28.345. That was his fastest lap. Blistering fast, 190.510 miles per hour. Keselowski again second fastest in practice thus far. Ross Chastain is third. Alex Bowman fourth. Ryan Blaney fifth. Tyler Reddick sixth. Joey Logano seventh. Austin Cindric 8th, Chase Elliott 9th, Carson Hocevar 10th. And remember that these are the drivers in Group A. We still have another half the field to hit their practice session of 20 minutes once we get into Group B. But as you see on the top of the screen right now, a little over 8 minutes in to this 20-minute session. No incidences to cover so far. Keselowski ran only 4 laps before bringing it into the pits, so made maybe a qualifying run there at first. Maybe going to have a race trim mode soon after. Maybe just didn't like the handling of the race car. Whatever the case is there. Interesting that he only ran 4 laps. Everybody else, for the most part, has ran 9, 10 plus and is still on the racetrack. Keselowski still staying at 4 laps, despite being second quickest on the charts. But yeah, Ty Gibbs, the only Joe Gibbs Toyota that is in this Group A of practice. Tyler Reddick for 2311 Racing is the other Toyota, along with John had a name check. I guess Christopher Bell's in here. My bad. Christopher Bell is 11th. Surprised he's not up where Gibbs is at right now. Not a lot of tire fall off at this Texas Motor Speedway. Maybe more in this Group A practice due to a greener racetrack with no cars on the racetrack at all yet this morning until now. Practice qualifying for the Xfinity Series was yesterday evening before the truck race, and then obviously the truck race as well as their practice and qualifying session was yesterday. So less on-track activity today before the Xfinity Series kicks off at 1:30 later this afternoon. We'll take our first ad break of the stream. Again, you're listening live on KRC to the AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 400 practice and qualifying session from Texas Motor Speedway. Jeff Sperry, Robert Perkle, Wade Solinsky, Dan Bowers, and others, welcome into the stream. 8 likes. Again, our goal is 50. And if you're wondering where the camera is at, I'm trying to keep the bit rate down, the frame rate from dropping, I should say, keep the bit rate up. So that way we don't have any sort of lagginess of the stream. It seems to be working, so I don't know what's up with the camera on OBS that is causing that lag, but I think I found that out during the truck race last night that was the issue. So no issues, at least so far here in the early going of this practice session. I noticed it in the test before the stream started, so wanted to hop on that real quickly.
Pre-month of May practice for the Indy 500, which he will contest. Looking over some of the computer data there as we're halfway through Group A practice. Chase Elliott 8th overall, 3rd fastest of the Chevrolets.
I think it's time to flex on Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick very fast at practice, top of the board, best consecutive 10, best consecutive 15. Look for that 45 card tomorrow. Could be a factor. He's quite a bit faster than everybody else, as a matter of fact.
His teammate Christopher Bell, 11th overall, third among the Toyotas for fastest individual lap behind Gibbs and Reddick.
Well, this is a tough track in the morning conditions like this. We talked about how fast the racetrack is this morning, but getting the heights right as far as the car off the ground and how you want the car to ride is a fine balance here because of the two ends being so different. You have really much flatter corner in 1 2 than you do in 3 and 4, and you have some bumps in 3 and 4 that you have to navigate. So it's a tough racetrack to get yourself hyped up for and be comfortable with, and also for the crew guys to get all the heights set correctly and the limiters and the shocks and things.
Ross Chastain is the fastest Chevy. Here's some radio from Ross after his first run.
A little too uneasy here for you at the back to start. Be confident. Now Billy dabbing up. I feel okay. A little bit of right nerves getting it cold.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about right there. And you hear Ross just refer to it. Honestly, the nerves going out on this racetrack, you have to go. The speeds are so high, and you have to run the car so free as you can make it through the middle of 1 and 2 to turn well, that sometimes it's just really uncomfortable.
Yeah, don't forget where we came from. Hardingsville, small track on the circuit to this place. Is
last 3 weeks on
full wide open throttle. Jamie, what do you got?
Yeah, and after that radio, Phil Surgeon, the crew chief for Ross Chastain, had him come in. He said, I just want to check these tires. And I'm listening to race engineers and crew chiefs. There is concern about tire wear with the speed, the pace being up here so high. We blew some right rears in the fall race here, so that's something they're keeping an eye on. They just want to check the tires after a run, make sure everything looks good, and giving that feedback to the drivers.
Thanks, Jamie. Ross will make his Fox Xfinity debut in the booth today with Joey Logano and Adam Alexander.
Clint, I was one of those tire failures, and it blew going into turn 3. We were leading the race. It blew going into turn 3, and it hit the fence so hard that it knocked me so far forward that it hooked the top of my shoe on the throttle pedal, hung the throttle pedal wide open, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, why in the world won't the car fire back up? Well, the hung, I had to reset everything because it had the hung throttle setting trim, and I had figured out that kind of knocked me silly, and my foot was hung on top of the gas pedal.
I was going to say, the coming to your senses part of that equation is a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
It took a second.
Austin Hill making his 7th career start and first of the season. He is in a third Richard Childress racing car. Ty Dillon on the 15th fastest in this session. 6 minutes to go in Group A practice.
Still the fastest 5. Ty Gibbs at the top with a 28.345 as his fastest lap. Again, just over 190.5 mile per hour average speed for that lap. 28.553 for Brad Keselowski, still in second. He has hit back on the racetrack after running 4 laps coming into the pits. He has now ran 6 consecutive laps and is still on the racetrack. Ross Chastain is third fastest with a 28.574, a 28.606 for Alex Bowman in fourth, and Ryan Blaney 28.628 rounds out the top 5. Difference between first and 10th here, about 39 hundredths of a second. I didn't read that right. About 3 tenths of a second, nearly 4 tenths. Nearly 4 tenths of a second, the difference between the top 10 right now. So, and that goes to show just how equal the field is from top to bottom in the next-gen era. When you come to Texas Motor Speedway, which is a primarily wide-open racetrack of the 1.5 miles, so we have on the circuit a lot more off-throttle time now. Obviously, with the next-gen car, what we saw with the 550 package at the end of the Gen 6 era. But at Texas Motor Speedway, it's a little bit different. This track, again, one of the more newly repaved racetracks of the 1.5 miles, so it's still got a lot of speed. The progressive banking in turns 3 and 4, but not in turns 1 and 2. You'll blip the throttle a little bit there, but one groove racetrack, it's just very, very fast, and you can see by way of the lap times just how fast it is. Again, a nearly 28-second flat lap time. That is fast for a 1.5 mile racetrack. But that also causes problems. You get just a little bit up out of the groove, which we saw in the Truck Series race last night, and we'll probably see throughout the rest of the weekend as well. Brett Whiteside, thanks for tuning in to the stream as well from the great state of Idaho. Yep. Appreciate you tuning in. Got 11 likes on the stream. Yeah, I'll be able to catch the second game of the Tigers doubleheader today, at least with score tracking it wise. Starts at 5. I didn't realize it was going to start quite that late, but yeah, the Xfinity race should be over before then, starting at 1:30. Definitely missed all the first game. I was keeping an eye on it during the truck race as much as I could last night. I saw they were blowing out the Twins, so good start for the Tigers this year, 8-4. Got to my first game already this year. Went there on opening day last week. Should say home opener. There you go. Home opening day for the Tigers. Got the win, and they lost 3 in a row after that, and I thought it was going to be too good to be true, but they picked it back up the last couple games. Actually looked good offensively, too. All right, so by way of race pace right now, long run speed, 29.4 it looks like for Chastain. It's a little bit less than a second of fall off over 20 laps in a run like Bowman, 29.2, 29.2 for Blaney. There's really only about 0.6 of a second off of their fastest lap, and I think we'll see even less fall off with Group B when the track gets rubbered down a little bit with everybody on the track now. So I don't even see that much fall off in the second group of cars as well. So with that being the case, track position obviously is vital here. This is the hardest 1.5 mile racetrack to make a pass on. Qualifying is going to be very important to watch here once we get to the bottom of the next hour. And we'll see who's going to have it, because right now Ty Gibbs obviously has the fastest speed in practice. Can he double that up in qualifying, though, is going to be the question.
Top point earner on the last 7.5 mile races, including here in Texas.
Pretty much taking care of business right there.
Yeah, and I really felt in Las Vegas he had the fastest car at the end of the race. Didn't win, but felt like he had the best car.
He about did. Took a swing at him anyway, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He was out there on his scooter this morning.
Todd Gilliland, 13th. And 5th of the Fords in this group.
Todd's had a great start to the season. Led a bunch of laps.
So second fastest on the speed chart is Brad Keselowski. Let's check with Larry Mack.
Yeah, Mike, it's been interesting to see some of the approach to this practice session. You go to Ty Gibbs, who's fastest in that 54 car, ran 30 consecutive laps. Brad Keselowski in the 6, who's second quickest. His first run, he suspected a tire rub or something was causing a little bit of smoke, but he and Matt McCall evidently had a little bit of a plan. They had some things they wanted to try, so he's just been making 4, 5, 6 lap runs. He's on his 3rd run right now to run this practice out.
Yeah, and I don't like that, Clint. I think that the proper way to do it, if your car is good, is to run consecutive laps if you're comfortable and everything that's going on. If it's not,
why is that?
Because it just gives you a better read on the tires. It gives you a better read on the balance. And I look at Brad's wheel right there; it just looks nervous to me. And I think when you go into the pits and go in and out of the pits, back onto the racetrack, the cycle on tires just gives you a misread on your car.
Always changes. If you go in and put that cycle on your tires, I don't care what change you make, you're also adding the element of that tire cycle as well.
Well, a couple things in play here as we watch Carson Hocevar log laps. First of all, Brad has finished in the top 10 his last 5 races here, so he has success here. Also, he has come out as saying he's not in favor of this 1 20-minute practice session to get everything done. So apparently they have come up with a different plan because they felt like just going out and making a long run was not working for them.
Well, if you're playing catch-up, right, if you're trying to figure it out, that's the only way that's the only card you have to play. You don't have the affordability of rifling tires on it every single time. That's what they're doing. They're trying to figure this out.
So Ty Gibbs, fastest in practice. for Group A, faster than last year's pole.
Wow.
And Tyler Reddick, best in the averages, 10, 15, and 20 consecutive laps.
There you go. So long run speed looking like it is going to Tyler Reddick's hand, just as it was at Las Vegas in that other 1.5 mile race earlier this spring. And he was 6th fastest overall. The top 10 again through Group A practice. Ty Gibbs at the top of the charts. Brad Keselowski 2nd. Ross Chastain 3rd. Alex Bowman 4th. Ryan Blaney 5th. Tyler Reddick 6th. Joey Logano 7th. Austin Cindric 8th. Chase Elliott 9th. Carson Hocevar 10th. So that is the top 10 through Group A practice. And you'll see the Group B times mix in there with the next half of the field that will take the racetrack for the first time here this weekend. 84 degrees in Southern Cal. Well, I wish it was like that here. It's supposed to be around 60 today, I think, for a high. About where I'm at. Northwest Ohio. 12 likes on the stream right now. Again, be sure to hit that like button if you guys haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content, live NASCAR commentary every NASCAR race weekend for Truck Xfinity Cup action. Triple header this weekend with Truck Xfinity Cup. Truck race was already last night. Congratulations to Kyle Busch getting the win. His 2nd truck win of the year in his 4 starts. He's got one more still to go yet this season. And as far as today's action, again, you're obviously watching practice right now. Qualifying will be on this stream right after practice concludes. They'll roll into Group A single car qualifying after this next 20-minute session. And then after Group A qualifying, we'll have Group B. And then they'll restack the top 10 up in a final qualifying session per usual. Top 5 from each group will advance. Our next streams this weekend, though, obviously after this one, again, 1:30 later this afternoon Eastern Time, we will have coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Texas, and then tomorrow's NASCAR Cup race coverage will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern with our pre-race predictions show. Drivers that will be in Group B of practice here: Kaz Gralla, Chase Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Noah Gragson, Kyle Larson, Josh Berry, Daniel Suarez, William Byron, Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher, Michael McDowell, Harrison Burton, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Corey LaJoie. Those will be the drivers that will make up the next 18, I should say, in this next group. Oh, boy. Showing a replay, looked like Reddick almost got into Cindric coming onto pit road there. Reddick coming in a little hot. Almost missed pit road, it looked like. That was a close call.
3 and 4. Cindric just didn't know he was practicing it.
Well, I think Reddick went too far. I think Cindric was probably going the right speed. I think that Reddick was going too fast. You see, the tire was locked up all the way out there.
Too fast, too far.
And too fast. Too fast, too far. But that is a very tricky pit road entrance because of the way that the straightaway flattens out. So you want to ride the banking as far around as possible and be as far out on the pit line as possible to carry as much speed around the corner. But you need to know your references.
A lot of speeding penalties, violations here because of that area speed that you saw right there. Good to practice that, though. I'm glad to see Reddick doing that. We noted how fast his car is, and that could be a pretty pivotal impact on his race come tomorrow. Talk about fast. Talk about on a roll. William Byron just continues to get better and better in that car. I mean, no longer do you have just one dominant car in the motorsports. This 24 car is setting pace, and actually, in my opinion, possibly, Kevin, I've heard you say it several times, setting a pace that's even harder for Kyle Larson to keep up with.
Well, it definitely is going to push each other. It's going to push the two of them to make each other better. And as a teammate, that's really what you want, is somebody that can push you and make you better and faster every single week. But they're going to have to beat this guy. Notoriously, Bubba's been good here.
Last year's pole center.
Well, teammates to Reddick. He liked what he saw with his teammate Reddick, Bubba Wallace, going out here for his crack of the bat. You know that those teams and communication, him watching, all the data that he was looking at, throttle, brake, steering. Those are all the things he was looking at with Tyler Reddick, trying to match his speed, as we were talking about those consecutive 10, 15, 20 laps.
Clint, I was just looking at the scoreboard of the fast laps, and Ty Gibbs is 0.2 faster than second place. But when you look at second place, Brad Keselowski, he ran a 28.55, and it's just over 1/10 to 15th.
There's Kyle Larson. He's fastest in this practice so far. Third overall, as you see him. I think you're going to see a lot of those. They're going to be happy about it. Yeah. See you guys. That's 3 generations there, it looks to me like. That's awesome.
Speaking of generations, here's Jimmy Johnson, 7-time Cup champion, racing a limited schedule for Legacy Motor Club.
Out of throttle off time.
Well, right now he's just trying to figure out what he's doing.
He's going to pit and work on his race car.
So difficult to just show up and drive these cars and be competitive with how different this next-gen car is compared to what Jimmy had driven in the past. And it's going to take him a while to get comfortable to go fast.
Michael McDowell, whose history at Texas Motor Speedway will be forever linked to one not-so-shining moment. Wow.
It's hard to believe that's real.
It
and
is.
Boy, was it. I was right there in turn 1 waiting to go out and make my qualifying run and saw it firsthand. There he is going through the very corner. That would be fresh. And man, that car's wiggling around quite a bit. Looks pretty loose. But just a crazy wild wreck that he was so fortunate to be able to literally walk out away from. That was one that caught all of our attention, Kevin.
And that was the key. He is not one of the smaller statured drivers. He is a tall, bulky kid, and for him to climb out of that car and walk away for me, that was the highlight of that whole season. Never mind that wreck, never mind any win, anything else that happened. He walked away from that. That was amazing.
Yeah, and I promise you that every time he drives through that corner, drives in that tunnel, he thinks about that moment. You can't hide from that one. That was massive.
As I said, I was, one of the next ones out, and I promise you it was fresh on my mind. It was a lot of lifting out of the gas.
Denny Hamlin, 16th overall, 7th in Group B, the Group B drivers in white on your scoring pylon. And we'll be back with 13 and a half to go in Group B practice. Then we'll turn things around for pole qualifying in Texas.
Fastest 5 in Group B is Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Josh Berry, Michael McDowell, and William Byron. Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, Martin Truex Jr. Fastest in practice. We'll go through the full 36 here because I don't think this leaderboard is going to really change at all now that everybody's pretty much made a long run, except for Chris Buescher. He's doing what his teammate Brad Keselowski did, which was bring it in after a few laps, try something different because he ran 3, is still on pit road, has not made another run since, but he is in the top 10 just like his teammate Brad K as of right now. Ty Gibbs, fastest overall, the 28.345. Brad Keselowski is in second. Kyle Larson, again, fastest in Group B, but his third fastest overall. Ross Chastain, fourth. Alex Bowman in fifth. Ryan Blaney, sixth. Tyler Reddick, seventh. Chris Buescher, eighth. Joey Logano, ninth. Martin Truex Jr. is in 10th. Josh Berry, 11th. Michael McDowell, 12th. William Byron, 13th. Austin Cindric, 14th. Chase Elliott, 15th. 16th for Denny Hamlin. Chase Briscoe, 17th. Carson Hocevar, 18th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 19th. Daniel Suarez, 20th. Christopher Bell, 21st. Zane Smith, 22nd. Corey LaJoie, 23rd. Todd Gilliland, 24th. Bubba Wallace, 25th. 26th for Noah Gragson. Kyle Busch, 27th. Eric Jones, 28th. John Hunter Nemechek, 29th. Ty Dillon, 30th. Justin Haley, 31st. Austin Dillon, 32nd. Austin Hill, 33rd. Harrison Burton, 34th. Ryan this weekend. This is through practice so far in Group B. Again, still on the racetrack as of right now. Only other drivers that made a short stint run and then brought it in the pits like Buescher would include Jimmy Johnson, It looks like Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, Harrison Burton have all kind of made short 8-lap runs. Chase Briscoe as well. So not like Brad Keselowski is the only driver to do that. He was the only one I noticed in Group A practice to make a short run, bring it in the pits, make some adjustments, and not just make a long run at it. Seen a lot more drivers try this out now in Group B. We'll look at the point standings coming into this race here today. Well, the race is tomorrow, but into the race weekend today. Kyle Larson, 14 points ahead of Martin Truex Jr. for the regular season standings through the first 8 races. 454 laps led for Larson is the most on the season of any other driver. He's got the most stage wins with 4 stage wins so far. 4 top 5 finishes, that is tied for the most as well. Along with those 4 top 5s, those are his only top 10 finishes, just the 1 DNF this year in those first 8 races, and his only win came on the last mile-and-a-half track at Las Vegas. Other drivers who are locked into the playoffs with a win would be William Byron with 3 wins apiece this season, including last weekend's race at Martinsville. Denny Hamlin with 2 short track wins at Bristol and at Richmond, giving him 2 wins on the season. And, of course, I mentioned Larson obviously has a win already, so he's locked into the playoffs. The only other 2 drivers with 1 win would be Christopher Bell at Phoenix and Daniel Suarez at Atlanta. So 5 drivers have won a race so far through these first 8 races this season. And obviously that means there's still 11 playoff spots for the taking. Not only it's a 14-point lead for Larson over Truex in the regular season standings, but Denny Hamlin is only 17 points back in third. Also within one race where the points would include William Byron and Ryan Blaney, who are tied for 4th. Because Byron has 3 wins to Blaney's 0, that puts Byron at 4th in the standings. Blaney would be 5th. Chase Elliott is in 6th in points, having a good consistent year. Only 3 top 10 finishes and 2 top 5s, but he's qualifying well and getting a lot of stage points early, so that is key there. We'll pause for a moment here because we have a crash in practice. Looks like Kyle Busch has wrecked in turn 2. Heavy damage to the back of his race car. He is backing it backwards, I should say. He's backing it backwards. Down back straightaway. There's 3 backs there. Into 3 and 4, slinging the car around. He's got a lot of damage. Looks like the whole left side of the car is dinged up pretty good as well. Busch maybe heading to a backup car.
Typical thing, getting tied off the 2 and then snapping loose.
I don't know, Clint. It's weird. Yeah.
It's like it quit turning and then just came around on him.
Definitely just snapped the back out there.
Car looked like it got flat though, Kevin. Like right before that, like it just. I don't know if he was catching it.
Let's check with Larry Mack because Larry was looking at the steering input data from Kyle's first run. And what was different about that, Larry?
Yeah, Mike, I mean, he was having to turn the steering wheel a lot more than any of the competitors. But I went back and watched September's race the other night. His car did the same thing in that race right there. He was complaining about the front tires not gripping, not turning, and all of a sudden down in turn 1 and 2, it just broke loose and he backed it in the wall. It was almost deja vu from what happened to him in September.
Well, that's what happens. You just have all that wheel in it, and off the 2, that track flattens out, as Kevin told us, and eventually all that wheel catches up with you. They start, biting, and then it'll sure pull the rear end around in a hurry.
And you've got so much wheel in the thing. It's
right.
like you're just, it makes you further behind when the back starts to snap out. You don't have any chance to catch it.
All right, they're checking the track, and Kyle is driven straight back to the garage. Let's go down to Jamie.
On the flip side, things are going in the right direction for Alex Bowman, coming off his 3rd top 10 in the last 4 races. 4th on the speed chart. What's it like jumping in your race car this early in the morning at a place like Texas?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a fast place early in the morning. But, yeah, I feel like our Ally Camaro is decent. Wasn't super thrilled with it, but on the speed chart, it's pretty okay. So try to dial it in a little bit for the race and really try to qualify well. I think track position is going to be key here, right? Racing's pretty tough, passing's tough, and hopefully we can lay down a good lap here in qualifying and go from there.
All right, good luck. Qualifying coming up next, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. Kyle Busch back to the garage after backing it in turn number 2. Red flag is out.
Well, our first caution in practice in a few weeks again. Kyle Busch turned to crash, bringing out the yellow flag here. He was in the top 30. but outside the top 20. Busch overall 27th in practice, about a half a second off Ty Gibbs' fast lap that he put down to put himself at the top. So RCR lacking behind already this weekend. Busch going to a backup car, that's not going to help him at all going into the race tomorrow. He's had some bad luck at the newly reconfigured Texas. Even in his JGR days, he with the next gen era more so than anything. JGR next gen, remember in the All-Star race he blew a tire while leading. Obviously has gotten into other incidences at Texas as well within the last couple of seasons. Now here in practice at RCR for this spring Texas date. Again, this is the only race at Texas Motor Speedway this season, and it is 400 miles and not 500 miles like we have seen at Texas in the past. So going to be a relatively short race compared to previous years here at this very fast mile-and-a-half racetrack. I was going through the point standings for that crash ended up happening. I mentioned Chase Elliott was 6th in the point standings. Ty Gibbs, the rookie, 7th in points. He actually dropped back 3 spots after last week. Led 195 laps, 2 stage wins this year. 5 top 10 finishes, though. That ties him for the most alongside Martin Truex Jr. and William Byron. So he does have that going for him. He's not scoring as many stage points, which is why he is 7th in points, 55 out of first, but nonetheless, good season for him so far from consistency standpoint. Ross Chastain, 8th in the point standings, only 1 top 5, 4 top 10 finishes. Scored a lot of stage points, though, just kind of like Chase Elliott. Tyler Reddick is 9th in the point standings, also has 5 top 10 finishes this year. Tying for the most. Quite a few drivers with 5 top 10s. Man, that's a tongue twister. Alex Bowman with 4 top 10 finishes, 3 top 5s. All those top 5s coming at Daytona in the 500, had a top 5 at Bristol, and then at COTA the following week after Bristol through these first 8 races. He is, again, 10th in the point standings. Christopher Bell, again, mentioned that he has a win this year. He is sitting 11th overall. Bubba Wallace is in 12th overall. Bell also, by the way, with 5 top 10 finishes. 3 top 5s for Bubba Wallace early in the season, picking himself up after having a top 5 a week ago at Martinsville. Chris Buescher, 13th in the point standings with the 5 top 10s. Only 1 top 5 to show for. It goes to show that he isn't getting a lot of stage points, but he's getting good finishes, which has put him inside the cutoff line for the playoffs. Joey Logano picked up 5 positions in the point standings, going from 19th to 14th. First week he has been above the cutoff line this season after the 8th race. Remember, he was 30th in points just after about 3 weeks into the season. Couple of good runs, back-to-back top 10s for Logano, including a top 5 at Richmond a couple weeks ago. So he's starting to pick up the pace a little bit here recently. Kyle Busch, who just crashed in practice there moments ago, is sitting 15th in the regular season standings with only 2 top 10 finishes through the first 8 races this year. Definitely not a strong start for him, but he is inside the cutoff line, at least for now. His work cut out for him tomorrow, starting at the back in a backup car. Chase Briscoe's the last driver above the cutoff line, 16th in the point standings as of right now. Only 3 top 10 finishes, no top 5s yet for Briscoe this year, but he is 12 points ahead of Brad Keselowski for that final spot. Daniel Suarez has a win, so even though he's 17th, again, he is locked in to the playoffs. So actually, with Suarez being out of 16th, that actually means that Kyle Busch would have the last spot for the playoff grid, 16th, only 1 point ahead of Briscoe. Then Keselowski would be 18th. He'd be the second driver out, and he would be 13 points out of first. John Hunter Nemechek is just behind him in the standings, and then Eric Jones rounds out the top 20. They've added a little bit of extra time here in practice with that caution coming out, so about 6.5 minutes still remain in the allotted time for Group B practice, but we are back under green flag action, and hopefully we don't see any more incidences here today. Chris Buescher back out on the racetrack again. He's only ran 10 laps so far in the practice session. Another Ford Chase Briscoe with 11 laps ran. Everybody else has ran about 20 or more. We'll be working their way to that number. Keselowski only ran 19. To Gibbs' 30. It looked like 30 laps is the most anybody had ran in Group A practice. Not only Gibbs did, but Reddick, Chase Elliott also ran 30 laps. Christopher Bell ran 30. So a lot of the Toyotas put together a long run out of the gate. Martin Truex Jr., who's the fastest Toyota in Group B right now in the top 10, has ran 21 laps so far. Jimmy Johnson slowing up on the backstretch again. Oh, he got really loose, it looked like. We stayed under green flag conditions, but Johnson got up against the wall quite a bit through turns 1 and 2. There was no caution. But quite a bit of damage for Jimmy Johnson in turns 1 and 2 as he has crashed in practice. Surprised there was no yellow for that. He about had it saved, but as flat as that corner is, you get just a little bit sideways, you're going to slide all the way up into the wall, and that's what Johnson did. So a couple of former champions crashing here in practice. Jimmy Johnson, of course, running a part-time schedule this season for his own team at Legacy Motor Club. And I believe this is his first oval start outside of a super speedway in the next-gen car. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, he might have ran the Coke 600 last year, now that I think about it. If he didn't run the 600 last year, though, then this would be the first one. It's definitely the first one this year, and not an easy track to try to navigate around with how fast this race car is. And again, Johnson having way less races in the next-gen car than everybody else pretty much on the racetrack right now. We got to figure even the rookies in the field, like a Hocevar and Zane Smith, Josh Berry. At least they have Cup Series races not only this season, but for Berry's sake, he ran several last year. Even Carson Hocevar had one last season. Zane Smith ran part-time last year for Front Row Motorsports. Johnson out of his race car, though, and I don't think he's going to be qualifying today, much like Kyle Busch. That's quite a bit of damage to the right rear of that race car. And Johnson and his team maybe unloading the backup car. Definitely unloading the backup car for Kyle Busch. No decals on that thing yet.
On this track this weekend than anybody else in this race.
But these cars are not those cars, and it just takes a totally different driving style to drive these cars fast and be competitive and do the things that you need to do. It is not the style that they've won those races in at all.
Daniel Suarez 20th overall, 10th in the B group, and third fastest Chevrolet in Group B.
Yeah, his consecutive lap average looks good, Mike. Third quick in the 15 lap there. This group stopped, so their consecutive lap average is not going to go any further than that with the way that this session will go.
Noah Gregson 26th overall, 13th in Group B.
So this is when this track gets really confusing. When the sun really gets up, Clint, and is able to get the whole track sunny, the track temp starts to come up. Turns 1 and 2, where we've seen both of our problems today in practice, is really where the cars are just, that corner's flatter, that's edgy like you saw with Jimmy Johnson's car. It's edgy on the corner as it flattens out into that back straightaway like we saw with Kyle Busch's car.
More rubber getting put down.
And like I say, you want to run those cars as free as you can in the middle of the corner to be able to turn through the center, which could compromise the entry and the exit and creeps up on you really fast because this track will change pretty rapidly.
But to your point, the real challenge lies within how to get the balance on your race car. After, we were out there in practice, just like you were talking about, let's say Ty Gibbs. He was out there in a cool racetrack, tons of grip. All of a sudden, the track's warming up. It's getting rubber down on the track. It's getting slicker as we've seen these guys having trouble. Now, all of a sudden, I got to switch over to qualifying trim and go for it. Pretty tough.
Yeah, and you're going to end practice not as confident as you should be in order to go out there and lay the hammer down for one lap.
Larry Mack?
Yeah, Mike, we're watching this Ford Dark Horse Mustang. You said it last week at Martinsville. Winless in the first 8 races in all the top 3 series of NASCAR. And I talked to Mark Rushbrook, who's the global director for Ford Performance, and he said, when we get to Texas, this is where we have to know where we stack up. This is the second intermediate track we've been to. I still think this race tomorrow goes to Joe Gibbs Racing or Hendrick Motorsports, but I'm encouraged seeing 6 of the Fords inside the top 12.
Thanks, Larry. Last year, championships in all 3 of NASCAR's National Series. And this season, Well, that goose egg just gets bigger.
Well, my question is, and a difficult part of that is, I've seen enough racing. I know that they're in trouble. They need some help. They needed speed in their race cars. I don't need to know this by Texas as a big turnaround for them, because at the end of the day, what can you do, Kevin? If you're behind at this point in the season, what options do you have on the table?
Well, we saw Ryan Blaney had a lot of speed last year, and they definitely got better the second half of the season. But I think a lot of that is just the aero balance and the setups and things that go in the car where that car wants to be. But this package is the same that they had last year, the same rules, and they redesigned the car for this rules package, and it doesn't seem to be any better. So that's the discouraging part about what they have going on Ford.
All right, Group B practice is over. Kyle Larson is fastest, and we'll turn over for qualifying. Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson lead the 2 practice sessions. Tyler Reddick has the best consecutive lap averages.
All right, so there you have it. Fastest Group A for Ty Gibbs. Fastest Group B, Kyle Larson. Fastest 5 overall. You got Ty Gibbs with a 0.2 of a second margin over second place. Again, a 28.345 for Gibbs' fastest lap, a 28.553 for Brad Keselowski in second. Larson, again, quickest in Group B, third fastest overall with a 28.560 as his fastest lap. And that is, again, the top 3. Qualifying about to begin here shortly. Group A, 19 drivers will take the racetrack. And the top 5 from each Group A and Group B will make it into a final session to requalify the top 10. Positions 6 through 19 in Group A and Group B will be designated to whatever row they'll start in. So the Group A drivers will start in the outside row in the same order they qualify from Group A, 6 through 19, and then 6 through 19 in Group B will take up the inside lane for the start of tomorrow's race. The first 10 drivers to hit the racetrack for Group A qualifying will be Austin Hill, followed by Ty Dillon, Zane Smith, Justin Haley, Daniel Hemrick, then John Hunter Nemechek, Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric, and Carson Hocevar. So those will be the first 10, again, to make a qualifying lap here today. We'll take a quick ad break, continue our live commentary coverage this morning of the NASCAR Cup Series at Texas Motor Speedway. 21 likes on the stream so far. Be sure to hit that like button if you guys haven't done so yet, so we can get to our goal of 50 before the end of the stream. We're halfway home. Practice is concluded. Qualifying now about to begin. And we'll have some Xfinity Series racing still in a little over 2 hours from now. Can't wait for that one a little bit later. It's going to be a slick racetrack in the Texas sun here this afternoon, and added in the fact that those cars are super low in the downforce side of things, they'll be slipping and sliding quite a bit. It'll be interesting to see who is going to be able to handle it. I will say the Xfinity races at Texas have been the more entertaining ones since the repave reconfiguration. I'm sure we'll see that again here today. Ross Chastain, standing in with Jamie Little.
I knocked the nerves out of me because my hands have been shaking ever since lap 2. So high commitment here at Texas, and for our Worldwide Express Chevy, Jamie, it's a little loose to get going, and that was tough. Rolling out of bed this morning and just trying to fire it in there and commit the throttle. So there's more there. I don't know if 2/10 like the 54. Ty definitely cowboyed up this morning, but we can all learn, and now I can try to tie together a lap. Qualifying is high on my priority list. There's such little nuances, and it's been so cool over these last few years to study that and try to be better. But for our car, we have the raw speed for Trackhouse and Chevrolet. Trying to go tie a lap together now.
All right, well, you're going to be full commitment here this afternoon, making your booth debut for the Xfinity Series race. So what can we expect from Ross Chastain up there?
Well, let's keep the cameras off my hands, because as we come on air, I'll be shaking. I'm just telling you. Yeah, it's been so cool. I sat next to Miss Pam on an airplane a few months ago last year, and she mentioned it, and I said, oh yeah, and I thought nothing would ever come of it. And then they reached back out and asked to do it. So it's really it's been cool to dig into the information that y'all provide, that Fox provides. I will say it's a lot, but there's just there's so many cool stories to tell, and I think that's what's so great about live sports and NASCAR is that we have these opportunities to tell these stories, and y'all do such a great job. I'm excited to tell some stories that I see in the Xfinity Series.
Well, a lot of people will be excited to hear your input, and you are in good hands, so have fun up there.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. Just remind them, today it's Cole Custard with a D.
Cole Custard.
I'm glad to hear him talk about the little nuances and all the little things that come with making a good qualifying lap here, because the first thing is that commitment coming to the green, and that will progress as we go through qualifying to see what the grip level is, see if you can run a lane up, because preferably you would want to run up the racetrack to get the momentum that you need coming to the green, and then what the lap time is going into turn one is going to evolve as we go through the field.
But Kevin, why don't we hear this at other mile-and-a-half tracks?
Well, I think you do, but not to the extent that you do here, because coming to the green here, it should be pretty close to wide open, coming out of the pits and coming down the back straightaway. But still, it's not comfortable. It's a commitment.
All right, let's get more on this from Jamie.
Well, Kevin Harvick called you the beast, like your car indicates. You look pretty good. Is that any indication of what your car was like right off the truck? Pretty good?
Well, actually, it did seem like it took a little bit for us to hit the marks and everything. I feel like typically when you come here, the last thing you want to do is miss the bottom and be wide, but it's all I was doing. And I was flirting with, the resin and everywhere there's not grip. So once I backed it down just a little bit and got control of this beast, it was pretty fast. So, yeah, really, really good to have that much speed in our Toyota Camry. So, yeah, just hoping to go out here and put together qualifying for us. It seems like speed's going to be on our side. We're going out later. That's going to help us in our efforts. The track will be better. So we just put together a good lap. Hopefully get a good read for what we need for round two. And hopefully the rest of the day goes really smooth.
All right, he found his way to victory lane 2 years ago here, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. One of seven different drivers who have won the last 7 races. There's a second from left. Kevin Harvick, cowboyed up here.
I look good in that suit, Clint.
You don't look good in the hat. I can tell you that. I will give you the suit.
There's a lot of pictures from Texas Motor Speedway Victory Lane here, and I look like Woody at all.
All right, Austin.
Austin Hill, 29-year-old on the racetrack, 8 career Xfinity Series wins and trying to go for an Xfinity Series championship this year after winning the first 2 races to start the season there. He's the first driver to hit the track for qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series today. This is not his first career start. He's had several starts with Richard Childress Racing in an extra non-chartered entry, and that will be the case again here this weekend. One of 2 non-chartered entry cars in the field. The other, Jimmy Johnson in the 84, who you will more than likely not see on qualifying today after wrecking in practice. Kyle Busch also wrecked in practice. We do know Busch is going to a backup car. We don't know about Jimmy Johnson. I doubt, though, that he is at least going to qualify, whether they have to get a backup car for the 84 of Jimmy or not. 28.972 for Austin Hill on his first lap. And his only lap, because you only get 1 lap of qualifying. We've seen 2 the last several weeks, but that's because of short tracks. Tracks 1 mile less in length, you can have up to 2 laps of qualifying, but anything bigger, so intermediates, super speedways, only 1 lap for qualifying. So Hill with, again, that 28.972 has him at the top spot, a 29.019 for Ty Dillon, who just finished his qualifying lap up, will be in second of the first 2 drivers. Zane Smith in the 71 now is next, the other rookie out on the racetrack. This one running full time. Smith still searching for his first top 10 of the season, but we'll see what he can do in qualifying, at least here today. And in turns 1 and 2, already pacing faster than the 2 cars that have put down a lap before him. He's got over a 0.2 of a second gap down the backstretch, headed for 3 and 4. It's going to be a pretty good lap for Zane Smith. Not that much difference between 1st and 15th, a little over a 0.1 of a second in practice. I should say 2nd through 15th was a little over a 0.1 of a second, because there was a 0.2 of a second gap between 1st and 2nd, where Ty Gibbs was at the very top of the charts, again, overall in that practice session. And he was in Group A, so he will be in this qualifying round for Group A as well. Be the 13th driver to hit the racetrack. Zane Smith's lap ended up timing in at a 28.634, so you see him at the top of the charts of the first three. Justin Haley is currently on the back straightaway, headed into 3 and 4. So he works his way off the exit of the corner. Haley will time in second of the first 4 drivers, 28.954. For Haley in the 51. And now it is Daniel Hemrick, who is towards the bottom of the charts through practice. Colleague Racing has struggled mightily this season. Out of the gate, Hemrick has been right around 30th, if not worse, on race pace more often than not. And here this weekend, outside the top 30. So looking to find something in the speed on the racetrack here for qualifying. Had a big moment in the middle of turns 1 and 2. That car was wiggling around quite a bit in the bottom groove. Everybody trying to stay hooked to that white line of both ends of the racetrack through qualifying here. And a primarily one-groove racetrack, and a little bit of a hiccup definitely hurt Daniel Hemrick. He'll be last of the first 5, 29.107. Here's Jamie Little standing with Jimmy Johnson.
We saw you go out there and get into the wall, Jimmy. What is it like, and how different is it in these cars here?
It is different. There's no doubt. I felt like we did a nice job of trying to get me ready in the simulator. Unfortunately, I just got a little loose into turn 1. I caught it, but it's such a narrow lane that once I caught the car, I was in the marbles and kind of along for a ride then. So the guys are looking at the car in the garage area. There's no doubt the Advent Toyota won't make qualifying, but it's unclear yet if it's a backup car or just fixing the body in the right rear corner.
Glad you're okay. Good to see you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, there's no simulation that's going to help you for what you're doing out here on the racetrack. It's just a totally different feeling. Tough position for Jimmy Johnson.
Jonathan Nemechek, second fastest here.
Yep, Nemechek timed in with a 28.937. He was qualifying during that Jimmy Johnson interview. Next on racetrack currently is Christopher Bell. And I would imagine Bell will go to the top of the chart, seeing who we have of the first 6 that have gone out before him. Just based off the team he is racing for compared to the other race teams. And where they were at in practice compared to Bell. Bell was 28th overall in practice, though, so he's definitely lacking behind on the speed department for right now. We'll see if he picks up for qualifying, though. There were 3 Toyotas, though, in the top 10, including his teammate Ty Gibbs at the very top, so maybe Bell just missed it for a bit. Maybe they tried something completely different in the 20 than some of his teammates that were in the top 10, but Bell fastest for right now, 28.502. And Brad Keselowski, who was second overall fastest in practice, is now on the racetrack looking to get to the top of qualifying and at least stay inside the top 5 so he can advance into a shot at the pole come that second round. Keselowski finishing his lap off third with a 28.728. Keselowski's practice time is actually faster than his qualifying time by about 0.2 of a second, so he was missing something there. Tough break for Brad K, and I don't think that time is going to be enough to keep him inside the top 5. But I guess you never know. We'll see. We still got 10 more drivers to go. Austin Cindric is the 9th car on the racetrack now for qualifying. And the first of the 3 Penske Fords. All 3 Penske cars in this first group of qualifying as well. Logano Blaney will come a little bit later. Cindric definitely going to get himself into the top 5. Can he get himself to the top, though, is the next question. At the line. Not quite. Second, though. Very close. About 200ths off of Bell's fastest lap. 28.522 for Cindric. And up next will be Carson Hocevar, but that will be coming after the commercial break. So the final 10 to qualify for Group A will be Carson Hocevar, followed by Todd Gilliland, Ryan Preece, Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott. Those will be the last remaining drivers to qualify. And again, the top 5 from Group A will advance to the final round of qualifying. Currently, Christopher Bell at the top with a 28.502, 28.522 for Austin Cindric in second, Zane Smith third, Brad Keselowski fourth, and John Hunter Nemechek currently on the bubble in 5th. So that is the top 5. Ghosting? No, I just got the camera turned off for right now. Appreciate you tuning in, though, JoJo. Got 27 likes on the stream. Again, be sure to hit that like button so we can get to our goal of 50 before the end. And be sure to subscribe for more NASCAR content. Just got the camera turned off for practice and qualifying right now. I'll try to run it back during the Xfinity race. I had to turn it off yesterday during the truck race at times. Try to keep OBS from having any sort of like a frame rate drop. It's been pretty steady since I turned it off before the stream started, so don't want to risk having any issues with that. But yeah, definitely be sure to hit the like button. Comment who you think is going to get the pole today as well. Like to see. Can't imagine racing 969 laps at Texas. Yeah, of all tracks, definitely not this one. Yeah, I think 31 laps, 31 laps is about as much as we saw at a practice for a lot of those drivers that ran their practice session a little bit ago. 9 drivers have qualified through Group A. Group B obviously still has to qualify. We still have 10 more drivers left in this first group. And again, 1 lap of qualifying per driver on this 1.5-mile racetrack. I like how it says the average speed is 14.4. I find that hilarious. Gibbs had a 28.345 as his fastest lap back in practice. Jamie Little now with an interview with Brad Keselowski.
Well, not hoping the track was falling off a lot too, Jamie, so it's hard to say. Really was hoping I could run a 50 there in qualifying, and I ended up running the 70, so I don't think we're going to make the next round, but we had reasonable pace, just really free, so if we get the car a little bit more underneath me, we'll have a good shot at Sunday. Thanks, Brad.
Well, to get in a little bit off turn 4 there. Still beats his teammate Zane Smith, 28.572. Just 1 spot ahead of him. They were right on top of each other in qualifying, just inside the top 20 as well. Todd Gilliland in the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports is now on the racetrack. A little loose getting through 1 and 2. You can see the rear of the race car slipping out from underneath him just a bit. Still looks like a relatively fast lap, all things considered. I don't know that he's going to be able to beat Keselowski to get inside the top 5. Trending in the wrong direction through 3 and 4. Gets a bit wide up off the exit of the corner. And he's a little over a tenth off of BK. 28.867 for Gillen, 6th of the 11 drivers to go out for qualifying. And now Stewart-Haas Racing's Ryan Preece is next on the track. And we'll see what Preece can do. 6 Fords in the top 12 in practice. Through qualifying, 2 of them in the top 5 of the first 11 to qualify. And still 3 more Fords to go in this group, including, of course, Preece that is on the track currently. And as he works his way through turns 3 and 4, not trending in the right direction. Preece will take over 6th with a 28.776. Keselowski still hangs on to 5th. And here is Ty Gibbs, who was fastest in practice, as I mentioned multiple times already. Now on the racetrack to take over qualifying at a 28.345 back in his practice session. Right corner through turns 1 and 2. Already a couple tenths ahead of 5th. And now into turns 3 and 4. Trying to keep it held down wide open. So far, so good for Ty Gibbs. Off turn 4, he's going to be 3 tenths ahead of the cutoff line, and he will go to the top of the charts with a 28.409. So he was within a tenth of a second of his practice time, and he's a full tenth of a second nearly ahead of his teammate Christopher Bell at the top of the charts in Group A qualifying. And now Ross Chastain will take his turn at a fast lap. That averaged out at 190.081 miles per hour for Gibbs as well. He had a 190.5 with his practice speed for an average lap. Chastain will break into the top 5 here as he paces well off turn 4. I don't know that that's going to be a fast enough time that will keep him there or not. We'll have to see. 4th currently for Chastain, 28.542 for Ross. 5 drivers still to go. Alex Bowman is next on track. Best start of the season is 4th. Believe it or not on a super speedway as we usually see out of Hendrick Motorsports. And we'll see if Bowman can get himself another top 5 start here today. His teammates looking fast this weekend as they have been all year long. Bowman's had some good speed as well. Again, he's got 3 top 5 finishes so far this year. Bowman will get into the top 5 for now, just bumping out Hocevar, 28.565. And for Bowman, he is currently 5th. Only by 7 1,000ths of a second he qualified ahead of Hocevar. Next is Joey Logano. Picked it up with back-to-back top 10s the last couple of weeks. Running the AAA paint scheme this weekend. Usually see this paint scheme at Auto Club, but not on the schedule this year, so it looks like they got the Texas date. And Logano will not get into the top 5 at 28.642. Interesting. Tyler Reddick, who was 6th overall in practice earlier, had the best long-run speed of anybody in Group A or Group B in practice session from 20-lap average and beyond. And we will see for Reddick if he can get some short-run speed out of his qualifying lap to start inside the top 10 today. First, of course, to do that, he has to get into the top 5 in this first group. And so far, it is looking very, very good for Tyler Reddick. Pacing well on Alex Bowman. Looks to be a couple tenths ahead of him. This could be the fastest lap. And it is a 28.357 for Tyler Reddick. Fastest lap in qualifying so far. That will lock him into the final round. Not quite where Gibbs was in practice, but pretty darn close. And up next is Ryan Blaney in the 12. That bumps Bowman out of the top 5. After Blaney is Chase Elliott. Blaney very close to the wall up off turn 2, using all the asphalt, all the racetrack necessary. Blaney's had several top 10 starts, including the last couple of weeks. We'll see if he can make it 3 in a row. Off turn 4 again. And great speed from the 12 to get into the top 5. Can he stay there? Yes, he will, actually, because he's 3rd. 28.461. Big pickup from practice to qualifying for Blaney. He was 5th overall in practice. Had a 28.5. 28.461 again here for Ryan. That will bump Ross Chastain out of the top 5. That will lock Christopher Bell into the top 5. And now it is between Austin Cindric and Chase Elliott for the final spot. Elliott on the racetrack through turns 1 and 2, not pacing well enough, and it looks like there may be 2 Penske Fords in the top 10 through qualifying of Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney, because Elliott is not going to be able to pick up enough through 3 and 4 this time. He's already a couple tenths behind him on pace, and Elliott will line up 12th. Not a great lap for Chase, 28.742. And that means he will be starting on the outside of row 12 for tomorrow's race. So it looks like the 24th place starting position for Elliott starting mid-pack tomorrow afternoon. Your fastest 5 through Group A qualifying, Tyler Reddick with a 28.357, 28.409 for Ty Gibbs, Ryan Blaney with a 28.461 in 3rd. Christopher Bell 4th with a 28.502 and a 28.522 for Austin Cindric. The difference between Cindric and Chastain for the final spot was 0.02 of a second. Qualifying about to begin here. 19 cars are set up for it, but a couple of them are not going to qualify. Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, who had crashes in practice, will not qualify. Busch will be headed to a backup car. Not sure if Jimmy Johnson will be in a backup car or not, but definitely not going to be ready for qualifying. So the first few drivers to qualify for Group B will be Austin Dillon, Harrison Burton, Corey LaJoy, Kaz Gralla, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Noah Gregson, Josh Berry, and Daniel Suarez. And again, Johnson was slated to be the first driver to qualify for Group B, but he will not be as a result of his crash in practice. 28 likes on the stream. Again, be sure to hit that like button so that you guys can help me get to the goal of 50 likes for this live commentary coverage of practice and qualifying from Texas Motor Speedway. Seth Thomas, Avidero Racer as well. Welcome into the stream. Take a quick ad break and continue the live commentary coverage of qualifying for the AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 400. We'll have to see how this is going to go. We'll have to wait and see here what Austin Dillon can do. Did not pace very well in practice. Busch was the fastest of the three RCR cars. Austin Hill in the field this weekend as well. All three of them, though, were outside the top 25. And again, Dillon, the first to hit the racetrack for Group B qualifying.
Advance to the final round from Group A. We move to Group B. Jimmy Johnson will not make a qualifying run, as he told Jamie earlier. Here's Austin Dillon, the pole winner here in 2016. New crew chief last week for Dillon. Justin Alexander back on top of the box. His former crew chief Keith Rodden is here, taking care of Austin Hill's car this weekend. 28:51. Jamie?
Well, for the fifth time, Austin Cindric has made it to the second round. Look pretty sporty. How'd you feel?
Yeah, we just scooted in there. It was good. I'm pretty happy with the work the guys have done. The Discount Tire Ford Mustang, trying to give it another shot here in the next round. It's a pretty fun racetrack. I mean, you just have one corner that you come wide open at 3 and 4 in qualifying trim, and you pretty much know how your lap's going to go the moment you get through 1 and 2. So you kind of just dread or looking forward to the lap time that comes up. So I think I can gain a little bit more on myself for this next round, and hopefully have something to say for both.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.
Harrison Burton next up. He won an Xfinity race here in 2020, and he's finished top 20 in both of his Cup Series starts here. Corey LaJoie finished 14th here in 2022, his best result in 10 starts here.
Well, this will be interesting, Clint, to see what the lap times need to be. Racetrack's pretty much all cleaned up and ready to go, as we saw by Austin Dillon's time at 28:51. So it'll be interesting to see if it gets hot, enough hotter to slow these cars down, or if this group's just faster.
I said before we started, I thought maybe we'd see maybe a late 20. I don't know. 34 was pretty fast.
I know one thing, when I look up and look outside the window and watch them go through 3 and 4, I think, man, I'm glad I'm sitting up here now. That's pretty fast through that corner.
Visually looks fast.
It visually looks really, really fast.
Cascarala making his first Cup start at Texas.
Which is hard to do on a track this big. You're up here in a bird's eye view in this booth in a 1.5-mile racetrack. They're a long ways away from it. You can tell just how fast they're going, especially in 3 and 4, like you said. But the bank, that banking holds you in there. Just watch Scrawley go through 3 and 4, man. It's when you lose that banking, when you slide off into 1 and 2, that's when it gets your attention.
Visually, it looks like when they go into the corner, it looks like they accelerate through the corner when you look out the window. So don't look out the window.
Ricky Stenhouse finished 9th here last September. His best finish here in Cup. He is a former Xfinity winner here.
You know, as I heard you and Larry presenting the wide open throttle, coming to the green and creating all that momentum. The flip side of that is where these guys' challenges is down in 1 and 2, right? You're going from race trim, and then all of a sudden now you have a massive amount more momentum, speed going off into the corner. Your lifting spot changes because of that. Having to adjust and compensate. I think that's a little bit of what you saw maybe Chase Elliott in that last group.
Stenhouse is fourth, Jamie.
Well, Bubba Wallace was on the pole in the fall here, led a lot of laps. So far, that quick practice session, what do you think you have for qualifying? Is she good enough to do it again?
I hope so. We didn't get the best of read on our car and kind of adjusted off what the 45 had in the first group, and don't know if that was necessarily the right direction, so we'll see. You got to separate the mindset, though, from race trim to Q trim. Track positions, everything here. So I think we got a really good Columbia Toyota Camry. Just have to put it together, execute, get through the gears, and do all you can.
All right, good top 5 for Bubba last week at Martinsville, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Austin Dillon still has the fastest time in qualifying so far with a 28.511. I should say fastest of Group B, of course, not where the Group A times were. But still a relatively fast lap for Austin Dillon, all things considered. Gregson just timed in second place behind him with a 28.549, 28.653 for Corey LaJoy. Harrison Burr with a 28.739. That has him fifth as Josh Berry just dropped to 28.679 to move Berry to fourth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s lap was a 28.775. He is currently sixth, and Kaz Gralla is last of the 7 to qualify so far with a 28.916 in seventh. Jimmy Johnson did not qualify again with the damage he had to his car after practice. Daniel Suarez is now on the racetrack, getting his lap timed in. And I believe he will be the last driver to go before this next commercial break. And then we will see the next 8 drivers to try to get into the top 5 after that, because again, Kyle Busch will not qualify either. And he will for sure be going to a backup car and start at the tail end of the field for tomorrow's Cup race at Texas. Good lap for Suarez. Looks like he is going to be close to the very top, second of the 8 drivers to qualify so far in this group. A 28.521 for Suarez. And no, Michael McDowell's going now. Okay. So it looks like Michael McDowell will qualify before the commercial break. McDowell was top 10 in practice overall, so he may have speed to qualify inside the top 10 for the race, which means he has to be top 5 in his group. Bit wide coming off the turn 2. This looks like the lap that Ryan Blaney ran towards the end of Group A's qualifying session, and Blaney was able to get into the top 5. He was third fastest in his group. It's a little wider off the exit of the corner, just trying to stay into the gas as soon as possible. Let the car drift all the way up the racetrack as close to the wall as possible, using every bit of asphalt. And McDowell does get to the top, 28.501. We'll see if he'll hang on to the top 5. Eric Jones is now on the racetrack, so rapid fire here for qualifying. Getting through a lot of drivers. Usually they only do like 9. I knew with the Johnson D and Q, maybe it would have been 8, and this is our 10th driver now to qualify in this group. 5, he was in the green all the way until he got just off the exit of turn 4. Maybe he had to blip the throttle just a little bit. Perhaps a bit tight for Jones. 7th with a 28.689, and up next is Chris Buescher. So we'll see what Buescher can do. He should have speed to get into the top 5, at least of who has ran so far. I don't know if he's going to stay there or not. He will get into the top 5 for now, though, as predicted. He is currently 4th, 28.522 for Buescher. He was top 10, I believe, 8th overall in practice, and faster than his teammate Keselowski in qualifying, as they were both in the top 10 overall in practice. Definitely 2 cars I think to look out for in tomorrow's race. Been some of the better Fords this season. Mentioned already, Buescher actually tied for the most top 10 finishes this season with 5. And now it's Chase Briscoe on the track, trying to take his teammate Noah Gragson out of the top 5. Briscoe going to stand on the gas through 3 of 4, holds on to it well. Pretty low line off the exit of the corner. Did not drift all the way near the wall. Picked up some speed with it. Top of the charts for Briscoe, 28.373. That lap is definitely going to be quick enough, I think, to hold him inside the top 5 through this group. Great job by Briscoe. Martin Truex Jr. is next. Truex was top 10 overall in practice, so maybe he's got some speed here. Would have been top 5 overall in his group. I think he was third fastest of Group B. Buescher was second fastest of Group B in practice. Only one that was faster than them was Kyle Larson, and that proves to be the same here. With Buescher being in the top 5, at least he was. Now he's knocked out with Truex moving into the top 5. Second fastest overall for Truex, 28.441. And that was a lap that would have been quick enough to make it into the top 5 through Group A. So maybe Group B will be the same. And here's Denny Hamlin. Hamlin pacing well through turns 1 and 2, at least to get into the top 5. 3 to 4 hundredths of a second ahead of the cut line on Daniel Suarez. Still picking up a little bit of that pace through 3 and 4. Now he drops off a bit off turn 4. Number keeps dropping. He'll still beat Suarez at the line. And he'll actually get up to 3rd. Very tight gap between 3rd and 5th right now on the leaderboard. But Hamlin is 3rd. 28.499. So he is in the 28.4 bracket. Barely, but we'll see if he can hold on. Bubba Wallace, who's had great pace in qualifying so far this season, looking to qualify himself up towards the front again here this weekend. Was on the pole. Last week, we saw the Toyotas come out of the gate hot through Group A qualifying. Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs were at the top of the charts there. Truex is 2nd with his teammate Hamlin 3rd, so expecting speed out of Wallace. And so far, he has that speed. Blistering fast off turn 4. About 800s, almost 900s quicker than the cut line speed, and that will move Wallace into 2nd with a 28.424. So there's that speed out of the Toyotas once again. If the 3 that are there now can actually hold on into the top 5 with just 2 cars still to go, then there will be 5 Toyotas to start in the top 10 for the race tomorrow. The 2 Hendrick Chevys of William Byron and Kyle Larson are remaining. Byron, who we usually see having great qualifying laps, off to a great one right now. He did not qualify great at Martinsville last week. Actually started 18th on a difficult racetrack to pass. Still got the win. So we'll see if today he can have a better qualifying lap and not have to come from behind. Still led the most laps last week. 28.385 for William Byron. That bumps McDowell off of the bubble. And now it's Larson. Fastest in Group B practice. He's the points leader coming into this weekend. Still in search for his 2nd win of the year, but looking to start 2 for 2 in the traditional mile-and-a-half racetracks. Just has to get into the top 5. Has to be Denny Hamlin's 28.499. 28.4 in Group A was fast enough to get you into the next round, but that is not going to be the case here because Kyle Larson is going to put himself into the top 5, well ahead of Denny Hamlin. Larson to the top, 28.338. Fastest lap of the day for Kyle Larson, not just in qualifying, but in practice as well. So Larson, the last driver to go out for his qualifying lap, will be the first driver overall. He will be the last driver now to run a qualifying lap in the 2nd session. Your fastest 5 from Group B of qualifying. Again, Kyle Larson in 1st. Chase Briscoe 2nd. William Byron 3rd. Bubba Wallace 4th. And Martin Truex Jr. in 5th. So it looks like 4 Toyotas, 3 Chevys, and 3 Fords will start inside the top 10 for tomorrow's AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 400 at Texas. And Larson, again, a 28.338, fastest lap we've seen today, an average speed on his qualifying lap of 190.557 miles per hour. Larson trying to go for 3 poles in a row. Yeah. See if he can do it. He got it by 1/1000th of a second last weekend. Two very different types of racetracks, too. 2 straight short tracks now onto a very fast intermediate. Doing very good here as well. Mario Costa, thanks for tuning in. And thanks for everybody else who has been watching throughout the course of this live commentary stream of practice and qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series this morning. 37 likes. Our goal is to get to 50, so be sure to hit the like button if you guys haven't yet. Only 10 more drivers to qualify. So again, 10 more drivers to qualify, and we are still 13 likes shy of our goal, so be sure to hit that like button so we can get to that goal before the end of the stream. And also subscribe for more NASCAR content. We have live commentary coverage coming up later today with the NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and tomorrow's Cup Series race coverage will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Billy Carjoy Official also welcome into the stream, and welcome many others. Take a quick break here ourselves, and we'll get that final round of qualifying up very shortly. Not the same order, but the 10 drivers who will be going for the pole will be Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, and Ty Gibbs. And they will go in descending order of how they finished in their respective group. So 5th place in Group A will be the first driver to qualify, then 4th in Group A, 3rd in Group A, all the way to 1st, and then that same order through the Group B qualifiers after all the Group A qualifiers go out for their lap. I believe there will be a little bit of a break period between after the first 5 and the second 5, so it gives those drivers who were at the tail end of that Group B in qualifying a chance to cool their engines down just a bit before headed out for their qualifying laps.
So, how did that all turn out?
That turned out great. We won the race, and I had to go get Josh, who's worked for me for a number of years. I had to go get him out of the NASCAR trailer. He took it to heart and went over there, went after Kyle Busch, went up in his trailer, and the NASCAR officials yanked him out of there, pulled his hard card, and I got to victory lane, and the security guard was waiting for me in victory lane. He was the first one to my window, took the window net down, and said, "Everything has been handled. We don't need any more chaos."
All right, so Josh did get his hard card back, and you'll see a new episode of Happy Hour every Tuesday and Thursday, brought to you by NASCAR on Fox.
Another quick break here before they get into this final round of qualifying. I believe Austin Cindric will be the first car to go, even though this order, again, is not the order in which they will qualify. This is a numerical order, it looks like, with the fastest 10 from the first round overall. Passes 5 in each group, but again, these drivers will re-qualify for the top 10 starting order. Positions 11 through 38 for tomorrow's race already decided, based off their qualifying order and their respective groups from 6th through 19th in those groups. And again, the Group A cars will line up on the outside lane for the start of tomorrow's race. Group B will be on the inside lane. NASCAR 2311 Cup Series Racing, thanks for tuning in as well. 39 likes. Be sure to hit that like button, ladies and gents. We're getting closer. Getting closer to that goal of 50 before the end of this stream. We broke a stream record last week after the most likes on a practice qualifying stream. Had over 100 last weekend. So appreciate you guys tuning in again here today. Maybe not as many, but we are still here. Early start time, though. 10:30 a.m. We'll have many more of these still to go throughout the rest of the season for practice and qualifying for the Cup Series as well. No weather for rain in the forecast, I should say, at Texas Motor Speedway this weekend. Truck Series went on last night without any interruptions, as well as all the other on-track activity. Practice qualifying for Trucks and Xfinity also happened yesterday afternoon, and here this morning into the afternoon. Today, all it is, Cup practice qualifying, as you're seeing right here on the channel now. Xfinity race later, and of course, the Cup race, the main event, tomorrow afternoon at 3. 41 likes. There we go. Now we're 9 away. 9 likes away from the goal. I'll check to see where we're at on the subscriber count real quick. Because I know we're getting close there also. 4 away. Wow, we are really close. We are very close. 4 subscribers away from 5,000. If you're not subscribed to the channel, be sure to do so.
Advancing to the second round. Take me through your lap there,
This is Denny
Where did you
Hamlin's
need a little
interview.
bit more?
Getting up to speed was one, and then just not being aggressive enough into turn one. I think the biggest factor for sure. So with the field so close, with all the on throttle time, it's all those little details.
Well, starting 11th isn't all bad for Denny Hamlin. The last time he did, well, that was Richmond. He won. One of these 10 drivers is about to win the Busch Light Pole, but which one and how fast?
Still waiting for Austin Cindric to hit the racetrack for the first time. Well, I should say technically the second time. But this would be for, again, Group B's qualifying session. Well, not Group B, but the second session total for qualifying. Still can't believe it, though. Only 4 subscribers away from 5,000. We are getting there. We're definitely going to get there today. I don't know if it's going to be during this stream or during the Xfinity Series race stream in a little over an hour and a half from now, but we'll get there at some point, I think. So we got that goal to go for, and we've got the likes goal to go for. A lot less time to hit that like button, though, because we only have... If I had to guess, we probably only got about 10 to 15 minutes left of the stream at the most, so be sure to hit that like button if you guys haven't done so yet. Stream is already up for the Xfinity Series race. As soon as this stream is done, I'm actually going to put the poll up for the Xfinity Series race in the chat for who you think is going to win that one. So if you do go over there early, you can be sure to cast your vote and hit the like button on that stream as well before it starts so we get a head start to try to get to our goal for the next stream of the day. So again, 3 Fords, 5 Toyotas, and 2 Chevys in the top 10. I think I said 3 Chevys earlier. I didn't realize that there were 5 Toyotas, 3 from the first group. And then 2 from the second. Forgot about Christopher Bell having a pretty quick lap. And first group as well. And I believe Bell will be the second driver to qualify. I think it's going to be Cindric Bell, then Blaney. Yep, Cindric Bell, Blaney, Gibbs, and Reddick will be the first 5. Here's Martin Truex Jr. with an interview.
Well, tell me about the race car and just being here in that first round and what you have for the second round.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's today's going pretty smoothly. Bass Pro Shops, Camry seems to have good speed. It's just all about the comfort level, the balance, and it's been close. So feel pretty good with it right there. Feel like there's a little bit we can do to get better, and then a little bit I can do, and hopefully pick it up a little bit. Yep. Thanks.
Thank you.
Here's the order for the final round. Beginning with the Group A cars, 5 of them, and then the 5 Group B cars to try and allow pretty much equal cool down time.
Well, life's a competition, Kevin. Lord knows we're going to make it. Who are you picking?
I'm going to pick Tyler Reddick. I like Group A.
I'm going to surprise you. I think William Byron. I'm going to go out on a limb.
Hey, you know what? Confidence is a real thing in this sport. You're not picking anybody, Mike?
I'll tell you, Chase Briscoe impressed the heck out of me with his lap.
Is that your guy?
Back it up. Sure.
Okay.
Got old Rusty on board this weekend. Rusty Rush Truck Centers, local company, Texas boys. Got them looking good, proud. Good to see the 14 car running well.
I understand you're going to have the history lesson for us tomorrow.
Yeah, I got some cool stuff.
All right.
Man, they have a Peterbilt giveaway that is awesome. Peterbilt right down the road in Denton here. Big facility, and big part of what Rush does. You see a lot of those trucks in the garage area pulling these trailers, all the transporters pulled by their trucks.
Hey, turn that camera around. You'll have an us seat. Look at the big screen. Hey, look at the big screen. Ah, too late. Austin.
All right, Cindric's on the track. Here we go. Ripping his way through turns 1 and 2 on his get up to speed lap. To just leaving pit lap. About a half a turn 1 at 190. Blips the throttle just a little bit. Down to about 25%. No brakes. Back to the gas full throttle about the 2/3 mark into turns 1 and 2. And he'll try to hold it wide open the rest of the way around as he works his fast qualifying lap. Staying glued to the white line through 3 and 4. Pretty good corner exit speed. Cindric looking like he's going to lay down a quick lap. He does, 28.482. I believe that was slightly faster than his lap time from qualifying in Group A. So we'll see if we're going to see more pickups, but Cindric picked up from round 1 to round 2. Christopher Bell now on the racetrack. We'll see if he can pick up. He had a low 28.5 as well as Cindric, so going in that descending order, we could see lap time beating lap time over and over and over again. Great lap through 1 and 2 so far for Bell. In 3 and 4, even better. And Bell will move to the top of the charts. A very low exit off of turn 4. Seen that from a couple drivers. It's worked out. Bell picks up about 1/10 of a second from round 1 to round 2 with a 28.417. So even with a cycle on the tires already, a pickup here for quite a few drivers in qualifying from round 1 to round 2. 2 for 2 at least in that department. Ryan Blaney, I believe, had a 28.46. So he's going to have to pick up to try to get the pole. And at least knock Christopher Bell off that top spot. And Blaney not going to knock Bell off the top spot, but he does get by his teammate Cindric by 2/1000ths of a second for second. 28.480 for Blaney. And here comes the guy who was fastest in practice earlier today of Ty Gibbs. 2nd, 8th, and 15th in his last 3 races. 5 top 10s on the year for Ty Gibbs through these first 8 races of the season. Tied for the most in the series. And a good lap going for Gibbs. Midway down the backstretch, now into 3. Pacing a couple hundredths of a second ahead of Bell's fastest lap in qualifying. Gibbs ripping his way through turns 3 and 4. Time drops a little bit, but not enough. Gibbs to the top. 28.401 for Ty Gibbs. But he did slow up just a little bit from round 1 to round 2. And didn't back up, of course, what he did in practice as well. Leaving room to be desired here for these other qualifiers. Tyler Reddick, his affiliated teammate at 2311 Racing at the Toyota department, is now on the racetrack. Circuits his way off turn 2, down the backstretch into 3. Don't think he's going to be able to pick up a lot here. You definitely lose a lot if you have to blip the throttle at all because of a sketchy moment in 3 and 4, but you don't have to worry about necessarily picking up time, I guess, if you are a driver who has already qualified. Looking to keep yourself on that hot seat. Reddick with a 28.450 will time in 3rd of the 5 drivers who have qualified through this final session. 5 drivers still remain. And here is Christopher Bell and Jamie Little.
You a better starting spot than you've had the last few weeks. Take me through that run.
I mean, it was as comfortable as you can be here at a very uncomfortable racetrack. So we've put a lot of emphasis in qualifying, and it was good to make the second round and have a good lap in the second round. So I don't know. We've been a little bit off qualifying, so it's good to get a good run in.
Yeah, Toyota's 5 of the top 10 here in qualifying. Race, though, set up. What do you expect?
I feel good about it. You know, I don't think we had a very good practice session lap time-wise, but the field felt really good. And this place is just really sketchy, so it takes a little bit of time for me to get acclimated to it and just trying to creep up to it and not make a mistake and pull out a backup car.
Sketchy is a word that we hear quite a bit. I'm going to talk to your teammate over here, Ty Gibbs. Been quick. Ty, take me through. We heard the word sketchy about this racetrack. How would you sum it up?
Yeah, I feel like we have a really fast interstate batteries Toyota Camry. You know, I appreciate all my team's hard work. Definitely, this place is one of the more treacherous ones we go to, but I feel pretty good, and hopefully it sticks. But we'll see what happens. Overall, it's been a good day. I feel like we've got a good race car, and that's really what matters here.
I know you get up to speed quite quickly, but you guys had that quick practice session. Did you make some gains on it for tomorrow's race?
Yeah, I think we did, and I think the biggest gain is just myself and then get more experience here. This is one of the places where it's been a yard sale for me in my career at this track. So like every time we come here, something's going on and don't finish. So I feel like this is important to have a good run here, but most importantly, we get a win.
Hopefully no yard sales tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. Well, the season has been Joe Gibbs Racing versus Hendrick Motorsports. 7 of the 8 races won. Pretty close in top 5s and top 10s. Big difference in laps led. Of course, more laps in the short track races than the super speedway races. But 5 drivers to go. See who sits on the Busch Light pole. Group B begins with Martin.
All right, Martin Truex Jr. on the racetrack. We'll see if he's got anything. We got 3 Toyotas really at the very top of the charts right now. Looking quick out of the gate. Truex the second to last Toyota to make a lap in qualifying. Bubba Wallace would be the other. Truex just finishing his get up to speed lap as he works his way off of turn 4. At the line. In the green, getting into turns 1 and 2, but it seemed like he did lift quite a bit more. And waited quite a bit longer as well to get up to 100% throttle. In the middle of turns 1 and 2. He's over a tenth off of his teammate Gibbs. I don't even think he's going to get into the top 5. This looks to be the slowest time of the 6 qualifiers so far for Truex, 28.528. He was out of the gas for a very long time through turns 1 and 2. I don't think he got that car hooked down to the bottom quite like he wanted. 3 straight top 10s for Bubba Wallace, back-to-back top 5s, and trying to get back-to-back front row starts as he qualified second last weekend, finished second in the race. Sorry, did not finish second in the race. Those were the qualifying starts, I guess, for Wallace the last 3. It's like a big drop-off in speed here as well for Bubba. Kind of similar to Martin Truex Jr. They'll be at the bottom. And I think it's just the cool-off time, really. Because if William Byron struggles on his qualifying lap, too, and is at the bottom, I think Ty Gibbs' lap time is going to hold. I think not a lot of cool-off time with these drivers at the tail end of their Group B line and then having to quickly qualify out. We'll see if that will still be the case or not. Byron was pacing well, at least when he was getting up to speed into turns 1 and 2. He lifts quite a bit, and he's going to be over a tenth off as well. So looks like Byron's going to be outside the top 5, and the fastest 5 are still all the Group A fastest 5 drivers. Byron picked up a little bit through 3 and 4. Kind of surprised we haven't seen that out of many drivers today. 28.464 for Byron. He does bump Blaney and Cindric back a spot. So he splits right in between the Group A cars. Chase Briscoe was on the track, and then to round things out will be Kyle Larson after. Larson was the last to go last week, got the pole by 1/1000th of a second. We'll see if he's got a shot at Gibbs. Chase Briscoe through turns 1 and 2. And now into 3 and 4. Looking to pick up kind of like Byron did in that end of the racetrack. He does just a smidge. Still trending in the correct direction. And into the top 5 for Briscoe as he'll go to 4th, 28.458. So Briscoe locks himself into a top 5 start for tomorrow. And now it is Kyle Larson. Larson trying to go for 3 poles in a row. Richmond, Martinsville, and here at Texas. He was the fastest overall in Group B qualifying as well as overall in qualifying in general. I don't know that he's going to run a 28.3 again, but he's going to need to if he wants a shot at the pole. He's 200ths off of Gibbs into turns 3 and 4. Picking up the pace just a bit more. It's going to be tight again for Larson. And for 3 weeks in a row, Kyle Larson is going to get the pole. A 28.366. He only dropped off about 0.03 of a second from his first lap in round 1 to his second lap in round 2. 3 weeks in a row, Kyle Larson is on the pole. Ty Gibbs is going to end up 2nd. Christopher Bell 3rd. 4th for Tyler Reddick. Chase Briscoe in 5th. That rounds out the top 5. William Byron 6th. Ryan Blaney 7th. Austin Cindric 8th. Martin Truex Jr. 9th. And Bubba Wallace rounds out the top 10. So that is going to finish out our qualifying live commentary stream. Be sure to hit the like button again if you guys have not done so yet. We will see where we are at. We're at 49 likes. We will stay live here for a couple more minutes so you get an interview with Kyle Larson post-commercial break after Larson has now won his 3rd pole in a row. Northwest Arizona, thanks for tuning in, as well as many others here on the late morning stream now into the early afternoon. 50 likes. There we go. We hit our goal. We have hit our goal of 50 likes right at the end of the stream. Again, you'll get to hear from Kyle Larson and maybe somebody else from qualifying, but Larson at the top, 28.366. He is on the pole. Venice Beach Sports Network, thanks for tuning in. Bubba's been running good all year. Yeah, especially in qualifying. He's qualified very well most of the season. Starting 10th. Him and Truex really lacked their qualifying laps. I thought it was just because of their group at first, but then Larson got the pole, so I don't think it was the group. Just definitely didn't get through 1 and 2 as well as they did on their lap back in round 1, because they dropped off significantly in their lap times. A 190.369 mile per hour average for Larson on his pole laps, sweeping pole qualifying. He was the fastest in his group in practice, was 3rd fastest overall to that of only Brad Keselowski and Ty Gibbs, who was fastest. And Gibbs, who was fastest overall in practice, ended up finishing 2nd overall in qualifying, and he was also 2nd in his group. Reddick was the fastest from Group A, but he qualified 4th, and Reddick as well, looking fast this weekend as he was best overall in long run speed, 20 lap averages and beyond. So back to, so Joey Logano had 3 straight front row starts to start the season with 2 poles mixed in there, but 3 poles in a row for Larson, and here he is.
Since we've gone to this car on a mile and a half, how do you do it, Kyle?
A great car, for one, a great team. So, yeah, cool to get 3 poles in a row. That was, I said on the radio after the first one, I was like, that's about the most intense thing you can do or experience throughout a lifetime. It's just, it's so on edge, and, like, you know how much, like, throttle time you have to run fast, and it's just sketchy, so sketchy. So, yeah, that was cool. The 250th pole also for Hendrick Motorsports in the Cup Series, which is amazing, and I'm glad I can contribute to some sort of numbers since Williams been stealing all the thunder here lately. But no, just a great day, and you're happy, really, really happy to get a pole. This is honestly, since we've gone in the next gen car, this has been a place where I've really struggled at qualifying, like committing into turn 1, and I told myself I was going to commit today, and paid off. So happy about that.
The way you described driving this car today reminds me of what drivers say when they drive an Indy car. That's something you got to do this week at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What was it like, the sensation of speed there, and then coming back here and jumping in your stock car?
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure that doesn't hurt to feel 220 something there, but it's surprising. Like this felt way faster today, just because the lack of grip. The IndyCar there was cold and overcast, and the track was green, so it had a lot of grip to go along with that speed. So you don't really get that sensation, but here today, like I've felt on edge, every lap, and you're having to commit. I mean, we're running wide open through 3 and 4. It's bumpy, and 1 and 2, you're having to commit really hard. So it's just it's intense, but for sure, I think definitely doesn't hurt when you can go to 20 something a few days ago. So just been a fun week so far, and look forward to racing the sprint car tonight across the street here, or across the parking lot at the dirt track here at Texas, and get my fix of all the cars, I guess, this week.
He races all the cars, and he does it well. Great insight there. Kyle Larson will lead him to green on Sunday, Mike.
Yeah, sprint car racing tonight at the dirt track for Rick Hendrick's Camaros. It's the 4th pole this season, and their 8th at Texas.
Well, they definitely had like we talk, you have to be able to rotate through 1 and 2. He does that better than anybody.
All right, that's going to wrap up our live commentary coverage of the AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 400 Busch Pole qualifying, as well as practice on this stream earlier on this morning. As far as the live commentary scheduled the rest of the weekend, we have, again, NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage in a little over an hour from now at 1:30 Eastern Time. And we will also have live commentary coverage of tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series event at 3 p.m. Eastern as well. Both races at the Texas Motor Speedway. Hope to see you a little bit later. Jesse Love will be starting on the pole in that one, and we'll see if he can get it done. Be sure to hit the like button, even though we got to our like goal. And I will actually see if we got to the goal for practice as well. Let me see here. Well, not practice. I don't know why I said practice. Subscriber goal. 3 subscribers away from 5,000 on the channel. So if you have not subscribed, be sure to do so. Again, 3 subscribers away from 5,000. I'm sure we'll get there at some point here today. But we have closed the gap. We cut into more than half from what it was coming into this stream here today as well. So appreciate that, everybody. See you in a little less than an hour, well, a little more than an hour from now. And then if I don't see you for the Xfinity Series race, I'll see you tomorrow for some NASCAR Cup action at Texas as well.